Hello, everybody. Here I am live in our NVC for Couples Transform Your Relationship One Conversation at a Time Facebook group. And I'm so happy to be here. I'm just getting set up. And welcome to those of you who are here live and to those of you who are watching it later. So, we are here at Friday, December 23rd. Christmas Eve is tomorrow. Christmas Eve is the next day. And I'm wondering how your stress level is doing. And I'm wondering how it's affecting your relationship. A lot of times when we're stressed, we are shorter with our partners. We tend to lash out more or withdraw, depending on your tendency. And the stress from the holidays can add to or create a bunch more stress in your relationship. So, because I am a couples communication coach and because I am on a mission to help couples transform their relationship and transform their conflict into connection, I wanted to get on here to talk a little bit about the particular stress that comes with the holidays and how it can affect your relationship. So, as promised, I'm going to start with a guided self connection meditation. So, I invite you to sit in a way where you feel relaxed and unencumbered. And if you want to shut your eyes, that can be helpful, or you can feel free to leave them open. And I invite you to take a deep breath. And to notice that you're here, to notice that you're breathing, to notice any sounds both inside and outside of the room. These are indications of the life around you. Sound does not need to be disruptive. We can welcome and embrace it. I have a dog here who might bark, and that's okay. So, as you're connecting with your breath and as you're noticing sounds, I invite you to then turn your attention inward, inviting your attention to turn towards what you're feeling physically. What physical sensations are you experiencing in your body in this moment? Maybe you're warm or cold. Maybe you're really sleepy and lethargic, heavy. Maybe there's a lot of energy moving in your body. Maybe you're a little shaky. Maybe there's some tightness or tension or pain or achiness. Just letting yourself notice and be with whatever physical experience you're having. Welcoming whatever is here, rather than trying to create a particular physical experience. Welcoming your body as it is in this moment. And then bringing that same kind of welcoming attention to whatever you're feeling emotionally right now. So perhaps you're feeling stressed in this moment. Can you welcome that? Can you be with that experience of stress? I'm just going to let the dog out. I'll be right back. Sometimes we accept things as they are, sometimes we make changes. Okay. So,
Recording stopped.
Okay. So, back to the meditation. So, coming back to connect with what you're feeling emotionally. So, if there's stress, noticing the stress. If there's anxiety, noticing the anxiety. If there's uneasiness or a sense of being frustrated or unsettled, allowing that to be as it is. Maybe there's anger or disappointment or irritation, allowing that to be as it is. Maybe there's excitement or happiness or joy or curiosity, allowing that to be as it is. So, whatever you're feeling, seeing if you can welcome it and feel it. And then, if you're familiar with my work, if you're familiar with the work of nonviolent communication, this next step will be familiar to you. And if you're not, it won't be. In nonviolent communication, we connect our feelings to our needs. So, anytime we're having an emotion, we see it as a signal that we have some needs that are either met or not met. So, I invite you to notice whatever you're feeling. What is it alerting you to in terms of what needs are met for you or what needs are not met for you? So, if you're feeling stressed, maybe there's a need, an unmet need for relaxation or rest or ease or support. If you're feeling really excited, maybe it's because you have a met need for growth or learning or connection or fun. So, whatever you're feeling, welcoming that, and then noticing what needs are met, what needs are not met. Noticing what needs are met and what needs are not met in this moment. And then I want you to consider or reflect on what needs are you hoping to meet during this holiday season? So, for the next couple weeks. If you celebrate Christmas, what needs are you hoping to meet during this coming weekend? If you're thinking about other holidays, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, the New Year, there's other holidays too during this time. What needs are you hoping to meet during this time? And I'll just read off some needs from my needs list that I love. So, some of the needs that we all have, these are universal human needs, are autonomy, needs like freedom and independence and space. Connection, right? Needs for acceptance, affection, belonging, family, compassion, companionship, love, nurturing, respect, to know and be known, trust and warmth, Another category of needs is honesty. Maybe you're longing for authenticity or integrity. Another category of needs is meaning. Maybe you're longing to have clarity or growth or a sense of purpose. Maybe you really want to make an impact. Another category of needs is peace. So maybe you're hoping for ease, harmony, justice, beauty. Maybe your needs for physical well being are up and you're longing for comfort in your body. Maybe you're longing for rest and sleep. Maybe you're longing for shelter and protection or touch. Maybe you're longing for fun and play, joy and humor. Whatever it is that you're longing for, seeing if you can allow yourself to feel that longing and to accept that these are needs or values or qualities that you would love to have met. And breathing as you consider that. And then whenever you're ready, if your eyes are closed, you can gently open them. And I wanted to talk a little bit about stress during the holidays and how it can affect our relationships. And the one feeling that I am realizing underlies most stress, especially during the holidays. So I want you to just consider, what is stressful for you about the holidays? If you're feeling stressed out, what is it that is stressing you out? Is it because you're hosting people and you really want to make sure that you make a good impression or that people are comfortable, well fed, taken care of, judging you positively? Is it the holiday stress around making sure your kids, if you have them, feel happy and have a sense of the holidays being a happy time? Is it because you're concerned with getting the right gifts for people, gifts that people will be happy with? Is it financial stress that maybe you're not having a sense of abundance around money right now? You don't have a lot of money right now, or you don't have extra money to buy gifts, and so you're stressed out about that. Does it have to do with maybe you're going to be alone for the holidays and that's stressing you out, or you're not sure who you're going to be with, or you're anticipating some conflict in your partnership or in your family or with the people that you're going to be spending the holidays with? Are these some of the things that are stressful for you? Is it dealing with the crowds? Is it dealing with the traffic? Is it dealing with the unexpected flight cancellations like we're seeing in the Midwest in the United States? Is it that you're grieving a significant loss and you're stressed out because um, there's all this pressure to be happy during this time, but really you're grieving and you're really sad and depressed? Whatever it is that you're stressed about, I want you to just notice what it is, right? We can get so caught up in the stress that we're not even aware of what we're stressed about. So just taking a little bit of time to just reflect on what is actually stressing me out. And one way that MVC can really help with dealing with stress is that we can practice self-empathy, right? You can notice what you're stressed about, right? Say it's that you're hosting and you want to make sure that everybody is well taken care of and happy and judging you positively. Say that's what you're stressed about. If you're in a relationship and you're feeling that stress and you're wanting more support from your partner, right? This is common when we're hosting, right? We want more support from our partners so that we don't feel like it's all on us. So if that's the situation, just noticing, okay, I'm feeling really stressed because I'm really wanting support, right? In MVC, we connect the feeling to the need. So I'm feeling really stressed because I'm really needing support. Or I'm feeling really stressed because I'm really wanting to contribute to all my guests. I'm really wanting to contribute to their comfort, and I'm really wanting them to have a good time. And then you can think about, like, if part of it is your fear of being judged, you want to make a good impression. What need is that about? Maybe that's about a need for acceptance or belonging. So I'm feeling really stressed because I'm hosting and I really want acceptance. I really want acceptance and a sense of belonging. And I want a sense that I'm loved, whether I'm a perfect host or not. So this practice of self-empathy is so useful for stress because it's not like it'll necessarily change the external circumstances, but when you're stressed, you're often disconnected from yourself. You're in your head, you're caught in thoughts, right? Caught in fears, caught in worries and anxieties. But this NVC practice of self empathy says, come back to your heart. What needs, what precious universal human needs is your stress alerting you to? And so you invite your attention down out of your head and into your heart. Oh, my stress is about my need for love. That's often what it comes down to. Or my stress is about my need to matter. Or my stress is about my need for support. Right? Whatever it is, you knowing what your stress is about on this needs level can be very grounding and can actually decrease your stress. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this realization I'm having that what underlies most stress, I think for most people, you tell me, I know for myself, around the holiday season, is this fear of disappointment. Fear of either feeling disappointed myself or fear of quote unquote disappointing others. So one of the biggest concerns I hear about when I am doing my couples work is people in relationships, couples, are afraid of disappointing each other. There's this concept that we can disappoint other people, and there's this fear that that's going to happen. And I think this has a lot to do with our discomfort with feeling disappointed ourselves. There's so much avoidance of disappointment in our culture. We are a very optimistic culture, I'd say, at large, especially around the holiday seasons. There's this pressure to enjoy it all, to try to create happiness for our loved ones, to be happy. And the truth is, that's a lot of pressure. And what a lot of us are experiencing in many moments during the holiday season is disappointment. So, what I want to help you do is to embrace rather than avoid disappointment. And I'm going to read a couple of quotes to you from David Whyte. He's a writer who wrote a book called Consolations, and he has a chapter called Disappointment. And he said, "The attempt to create a life devoid of disappointment is the attempt to avoid the vulnerabilities that make the conversations of life real, moving, and lifelike. The attempt to avoid our own necessary and merciful heartbreak." Right? When we are trying to avoid or prevent disappointment, it's a way to try to protect ourselves. This is me talking now. It's a way to try to protect ourselves from feeling vulnerable, right? Life is very vulnerable. We're trying to protect our hearts from heartbreak. Disappointment hurts. And so when we're trying to prevent it, we're trying to prevent pain, right? However, disappointment, this is David Whyte again, disappointment is just the initial meeting with the frontier of an evolving life, an invitation to reality, which we expected to be one particular way and turns out to be another, often something more difficult, more overwhelming, and strangely, in the end, more rewarding. So there's something here about embracing disappointment as a way to have a more rewarding, real, meaningful life. Life does not always turn out the way we expect. Life does not always turn out the way we hope. This is me again talking. And can we embrace that? Can we accept that rather than fighting, resisting that reality, that truth, that life does not always go the way we want it to, that our relationship does not always go the way we want it to, that we do not always get what we want for Christmas, that we do not always get the gifts we want, that we do not always get the love we want, that we do not always get the appreciation we want, right? You get to feel disappointed, right? You get to feel disappointed when you don't get what you want. You don't have to avoid feeling disappointed. You don't have to try to push the disappointment away. David White said, "The measure of our courage is the measure of our willingness to embrace disappointment, to turn towards it rather than away, to turn towards the disappointment rather than away from it." So I wonder, how would your stress be impacted if you could turn towards disappointment? If you could actually expect it, not in like a self-fulfilling prophecy manifesting it kind of way, but just in a realistic way. I'm probably going to be disappointed. It's not the end of the world if I'm disappointed, right? Can you find the courage to embrace the disappointment, to hold the disappointment with care, right? When you're disappointed, it's in the category of like sad, right? Like you're not getting what you want. And so you need your compassion when that's happening. And if you're pushing away the disappointment, then you're not available to give yourself that compassion. And that creates an inner conflict in yourself. And that tension, that stress of the inner conflict is likely going to impact how you show up in your relationship with your partner, in all your relationships, but especially with your partner if you're spending a lot of time with them, right? So the more peaceful inner environment you can have, right? Welcoming whatever you're feeling, including disappointment, the less tension you're going to be experiencing, the less stress you're going to be experiencing, and the more peacefully you're going to relate to others, right? Because you're not at war within yourself. So much stress and so much relationship conflict is because we're at war within ourselves, and it's just so uncomfortable and so stressful. So, what I'm about this holiday season and in this talk is all about befriending disappointment. So, what I'm going to do right now is walk you through a little process for how to befriend disappointment. So, think about if there's anything related to the holiday season so far that you feel disappointed about. And let yourself feel and acknowledge the disappointment. I feel disappointed because X, right? I feel disappointed because I can't take the flight I was going to take to see my family because of the weather, for example. Or I feel disappointed because my partner is spending the holidays elsewhere. Or I feel disappointed because my partner's not helping me as much as I want. Or I feel disappointed because I'm depressed this holiday season and I wish I were happy. So, whatever you're disappointed about, letting yourself acknowledge that. You can put a hand on your heart and you can say, it's okay to feel disappointed. I can make space and hold my disappointment. And then asking yourself, what needs is the disappointment alerting you to? Maybe it's a need for family connection. Maybe it's a need for support. Maybe it's a need for hope or happiness or love or meaning. And I'm going to put a link to a list of needs when I post this in the group, so you can check the needs list for help with this exercise. So just noticing the needs that the disappointment is alerting you to. And this is the practice of self-empathy, which is a foundational practice in NVC. And then, because so many of us have a fear of disappointing others, right? So much of the holiday stress is like, I don't want my kids to be disappointed. I don't want my partner to be disappointed. I don't want my parents to be disappointed, right? There's all this like fear of disappointment, this like frantic avoidance of disappointment, like it's the worst thing in the world. And really, it's just a feeling. You can feel it. You can feel it. But so now in the exercise, I want you to think, okay, who am I afraid will be disappointed this holiday season? Maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your parents, maybe it's other family members or friends or neighbors. Who am I afraid will be disappointed? Or another way we sometimes frame it is, who am I afraid I will disappoint? So if there's somebody you're afraid you will disappoint, I want you to imagine them, and I want you to imagine that they are strong and resilient and that they can handle their disappointment. I want you to imagine that they can tune into their disappointment, that they can see their disappointment as a signal to their own needs, that they can take responsibility for their disappointment. That even if they're disappointed, they're still going to love you. Just imagine that even if they're disappointed because you didn't do what they wanted to do, they're still going to love you and accept you. And then imagine if they're feeling disappointed, what needs of theirs are unmet. Right? If you're afraid of, quote unquote, if you're afraid of disappointing, like your partner, for example, imagine your partner gets disappointed because you didn't get them the gift they want, for example. What needs of theirs might their disappointment be alerting them to? Maybe they're disappointed because they really want to be known. Maybe they're attaching meaning to the gift you got and thinking, they don't even know me, which would bring them back to their need to be known. Your partner's disappointment is about your partner's needs. Your disappointment is about your needs. This is a key idea in NVC, is that we don't cause other people to feel what they feel. Other people feel what they feel because they have needs that are met or unmet. Just like you feel what you feel because you have needs that are met or unmet. So this whole idea of like disappointing others, or I'm disappointed in you, or I'm disappointed by you, it's a myth. It's like we don't disappoint others. We do something, right? We take an action or say something, and the other person may feel disappointed because they have some unmet needs. This is about radical self-responsibility for your own disappointment. Not to blame yourself, not to blame yourself at all, but to connect your disappointment to your own needs, right? And to imagine if your partner or somebody else is disappointed, what are their unmet needs that their disappointment is alerting them to? Right? You don't have the power to disappoint other people. You're not that powerful. You're powerful in a lot of ways, but you can't create a feeling in somebody else. Right? If somebody feels disappointed, sure, it might have something to do with what you did or said, for sure. But their disappointment is about their needs. Just like your disappointment is about your needs. So this brings me to my final point, which is about blame. Can we feel disappointed without blaming the person who we think disappointed us? Can you feel disappointment without blaming your partner for the disappointment? Can your partner feel disappointment without blaming you for the disappointment? Can we allow disappointment to just be here, to be part of the human experience, and to get curious about what needs the disappointment is alerting us to? I'm feeling disappointed because I have a need for connection is a lot different from I'm feeling disappointed because you didn't get me the gift I asked for. I'm feeling disappointed because I have a need for family connection is a lot different from I'm feeling disappointed because you didn't show up to Christmas dinner again. If you want less stress inside of you, I really recommend this practice of self-empathy, which is about allowing your disappointment to be there and getting curious about the needs that the disappointment is alerting you to. And if you want to express your disappointment to your partner or a family member or friend or somebody else, I strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to omit any blame. They will not be able to hear about your disappointment. They will not be able to hear about the pain in your heart or the heartbreak if they hear blame, unless they're massively, massively skilled in NVC and having a great day and got a good night's sleep and have a full belly. It's too hard. It's too hard to respond with compassion when we hear blame. So the more you can take responsibility for your disappointment, again, not to blame yourself for it, but to connect it to your own needs, the easier it's going to be for the other person to hear you. So I'm guessing you're here watching this because you are in a relationship that is sometimes difficult. Maybe it's difficult a lot of times. You might be struggling in your relationship. You might be frustrated. You might be disappointed all the time. You might be like overall disappointed. Your heart might be totally breaking because you're so disappointed in your relationship. And it's especially hard during the holidays when there's all this pressure to have a happy family, to have a happy holidays, to be like the Brady Bunch, right? To be like the Cleavers, to be happy. The pressure to be happy is insidious right now. And so, if you're not happy in your relationship, I want you to know there is nothing wrong with you. It is very common. Most couples are struggling in their relationship to one degree or another. And can you be honest about it with yourself? Can you be honest about whatever you're disappointed about? And can you connect your disappointment to your own needs? And if your partner expresses disappointment, can you remember that it's about their own needs? And can you bring compassion to all of it? Can you bring compassion to how hard it is to be in a relationship, how hard it is to feel disappointment, how hard it is to have unmet needs? So this way, it might not be a happy holidays, but maybe it'll be a compassionate holidays. Maybe it'll be a blame-free holidays. Maybe it'll be a holidays where your connection to yourself, to your own vulnerability, to your own heart, to your own disappointment is just enriched and goes deeper and deeper so that you are turning your attention to you and your heart in as many moments as possible. That's what I want for you. So see disappointment. If disappointment arises, which it's gonna, let's just be real. When it arises, can you embrace it, right? Can you turn towards the disappointment? Remember, David Whyte said, the measure of our courage is the measure of our willingness to embrace disappointment, to turn towards it rather than away. And I'm so curious if this will affect your stress level and if this will affect how you show up in your relationship. So, compassionate holidays to you. Leave any comments below. I'd love to hear how this landed with you. Okay, bye for now.